Corporate tool. Said hello. Bot has invaded the chat. Comrade. About W has invaded the chat. Comrade. Academy Impossible has invaded the chat. Comrade. LN underscore has invaded the chat. Comrade. Another TTV viewer has invaded the chat.
Welcome, all ye bots. So, I went to Guitar Center last week and tried out one of the Denon motorized platter controllers. I think these modern controllers are designed a bit better than this guy. When I opened up the SL-DZ1200 last time, right? It's yipes. Okay. It's kind of a marvel of engineering, but kind of a marvel of engineering, but I think one thing that it lacks that turntablists would want is being able to adjust the slip, because there is a slip mechanism, but it's not a slip mat, right? So you can't adjust the feel of the slip mat the way you would a turntable. And these modern motorized platter controllers, they're smaller, but they have a mechanism, and I'm not sure exactly how it works and how they are sensing the position of the upper vinyl. All right, this thing is purely for feel, but they let you put a slip disc in of your own choosing to adjust the feel, whereas here that's pretty much impossible. So let me get these two nubs open, get my screwdriver. That's pretty much, and adjusting the slip material on this is pretty much impossible because the slip interfaces are integral to the mechanism in here. And so while the direct drive mechanism is very much like a turntable, the mechanical platter mechanism is very different from a turntable. I'm not sure why. Come on. Magnet is just too weak. Not sure why it was designed this way, but that is the way that it It is. Ah, that off. And when I tried out the that Denon turntable at Guitar Center, it's substantially less slippery than this. The feeling of felt, it's a lot less slippery than this. And what's happening, or what I want to test out is this motor here is supposed to be fairly powerful, high torque. By spec, the SL-DZ1200 has the same torque as all of the other 1200s, pretty much all modern turntables. So there isn't any less torque in this than anything else, but the pickup, when I hold down the platter, the pickup kind of lags. It lags a lot. And what I want to find out is whether or not that pickup lag is related to how the disc right now is super slippery, right? One might imagine that if the interface here is super slippery, that then the platter's spinning, right? And I'm scratching, right? The disc is slipping here. If the disc is very slippery, then the platter's momentum will pick it back up to speed when I let go more slowly, right? In theory, right? Now, is that what's going on in practice, or is it just the way that it is, right? I don't know. I don't have another turntable to try out, and so I want to get some pliers. So I want to experiment with ways that I can gum up this a little bit, or to see if I could, if it may indeed be possible to use some different slip material. So that's all connected there. Now let me get the sensor off. Magnetize this a little bit more strongly. Strong. So the sensor is fine. In one of the videos, they did very lightly clean the sensor, basically by using a piece of paper, because I can use a Kim wipe for this, and just very lightly brushing that area in between. But I doubt that is going to make a difference because it's working just fine now. And then I need to lift the platter out of its housing. No, I can't do that yet. I can't get the platter out until I get these screws out. Got a lot more to go. Platter can't come out until the cables are completely free. Don't need to take that in. I don't need to take those off, right? Then I need these small screws. This bronze bushing thing is the hardest thing to get out. I wonder if I can make this a little smoother. That would make this catch a little less. All right, anyway, let's get the wave spring out. Oh, slip out. Now I should be able to get this guy out, right? Okay. Let me put this aside for a moment. So this guy that has everything here. So the direct drive mechanism is down there somewhere. Oh no, the direct drive mechanism spins the outer platter, this heavy thing. Not sure where the motor is, but it spins the outer platter, and the middle part here floats. All right. So, right, and that whole mechanism, that whole slip mechanism is sandwiched together by these 3 clips. Once these clips are here, then we can see the slip interface. The slip interface is basically this tape here interfacing against tape, essentially, taped on here. And this isn't, these clips don't pull it down super tight. So I have the feeling that I could, in theory, put some other material here, like a very thin piece of felt. I don't know if a millimeter would be too much, right, in here. And then, and see if that affects the feel. And hopefully it doesn't create too much clamping force. But I want to see if there's other ways for me to increase the stickiness. Increase the stickiness of this a little bit by using a little bit of more viscous sticky lubrication, just a small amount here. If that will make it a little bit stickier. Of course, it could make it too sticky, but I guess we'll find out. All right, that's there. Yeah, I think that's stickier. I should be able to tell the difference without having to put the whole thing back together. Just putting the clamps back should be enough for me to test the feel. Back together. Okay. I don't think this is any less sticky. Any more sticky, rather. I just realized that testing this is going to be kind of annoying. Maybe I'll headphone jack directly into that. But this isn't any. This is not. This is not stickier. Now that I've rubbed it in, I can feel it on the surface. Yeah, I don't want to put any more on. Okay, so this did not work. The thicker lube. The thicker lube did not increase the friction any. I wonder if I have anything that is similar to damping grease. Do not. I bought a container of damping grease once, but it was in a single-use container. Apparently, it is a car part replacement item. Yes, but the container was a rip open thing, so I don't have any. If anything, it's even more slippery. Okay. except for the clamping action of these guys. What if I just don't put these clips back? What if I just don't put these clips back? Then can I get access to this whenever I want? Let's see. How did these? So this clip goes in like this. It comes up. Like this. And it hooks into hooks under this piece here. Shouldn't provide any clamping. It's just for retainment. The sensor is in there. So I still need to remove the sensor every time. And the top plate. Okay. But maybe, yeah, okay. I'm gonna not put some of these back so that servicing this interface service will be easier in the future. So let me put this back, and I still need to wind these 3 cables through. Right, and push this bearing back down. All right, I forgot that last couple of times, and without pushing that bearing back down, there's like, oh, the retaining clip does not go in. All right. Then I've got 3 screws. This retaining clip. Now there's grease on that surface, so let me put this back on. This guy. Hey Google, what time does Joann Fabric close? Oh, you're gonna make me go look? You're not gonna read them to me? 9 p.m. Theory, I could go to Joanne and get a piece of fabric today. Okay, so I got that. And then put this that bushing back on. And then the wave spring. And then this guy, which is the annoying one. Got these 4 little guys here. This is not nearly as hard now, the third time I'm doing this. These 2 screws here. It's interesting, there are 4 screw holes, but it's obvious based on the markings that only 2 have ever been screwed in. And the sensor, right, because the sensor is what I have to be careful not to pull up, because the sensor, what the hell was that? Dropped off. And where did it go? I have the feeling whatever that is is actually not critical. What is it? And where the hell did that? Ah, all right. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Some kind of shroud that goes over the top of the sensor, but is not actually part of the sensor. Pipes. That could have been troublesome. Get that sensor sandwich in place. All right. So now, in theory, since I didn't put the retaining clips in, now, okay, so the danger now is the sensor is stationary. And so if I try to lift this up with the sensor in place, I might damage the sheet that has the index marks on it. And if that happens, I'm done because that sheet is unique. I have no way of getting another one. And it's integral. That's how the SL-DZ1200 figures out the position. So if I damage the inner ring that has markings on it, then I'm hosed. But now, if I plug these guys in, going on here? I'll let this go in. Come on. The last 2 times I opened this, I did not have any problems with this. Why am I having trouble getting this in now? No problem with that one. There we go. This is just a little bit too low. And then in theory, the top plate contains the controls to change tracks and stuff. But what I have now that I have the proper equipment to make the SD cards is this is like the tractor DVS time code. It's got 24 tracks of all the same thing, the tractor DVS time code on it. And so I don't need to change tracks or do anything in theory. And so maybe I don't put it on. Maybe I just leave it like this. That's a little wacky. All right, this is soldered on directly. So maybe to save time and wear, especially on this ZIF connector, since I don't need to use it, maybe I'll just not connect that LCD. Let's grab a little electrical tape. So in theory, if I want to get at the slip surface now, all I need to do is remove the sensor. I don't need to get rid of the rest of that sandwich. And then I can do some experiments on that. Tape that down. Tape this down. Oh, I don't even need to put this back on. Maybe I'll just leave this off. It's got to be the case that the mods, there's a mod kit that this guy in the UK makes. There's a little bit of play in this. It's not the fault of this guy. It's the slip ring mechanism here. And there's a mod that kind of modifies the way that the center spindle goes on, so that this goes away, and that means that, and then lets you put a fake 10-inch vinyl on this, right? The actual vinyl does not make any difference, and he removes these nubs. But then by putting fake 10-inch vinyl here, you lose access to the screen, which if you're using DVS SD cards does not make any difference, because you wouldn't really do loop in and out with this anyway. These controls really are mainly for using real CDs. But there is a version of the mod which isn't made anymore, where he retains control of this, probably just by having some kind of extension cabling that, since this originates from the bottom, this is stationary. So in theory, it should be somehow possible through drilling holes and stuff to wind that cabling out and then have it come out of the back. But I'm not going to bother with that for now. So what I've got left unused are the retaining clips and the display. Let me plug this guy back in. Headphone jack here. It's going to plug directly into that headphone jack. But then I need the 1/4-inch adapters that I just bought. Now I'm not sure where I put them. Where did I put? With those adapters? Where did I put them? I put them. Oh, here they are. Can't. Whoops. That is loud because it was set to max volume. Slip. I'm a little slippery. All right, but the pickup is still just as slow. Very slippery. Very slippery. Too slippery. I mean, you are supposed to have to push forward a little bit. I'm looking at the strobe here to see why. No, it's not. I'm not slowing down the platter appreciably. You can tell whether the platter is slowing down if the strobe dots are moving. And even in the case where I push down and move, and the strobe dots are moving backwards, and that's imperceptible. I'm now moving, the dots are now moving backwards about the same rate I saw when I was pushing down. And that's imperceptible. and it jumps back like right away. So that delay is not because I'm slowing down the disk. It's because it takes some time for the disk to couple with for the slip mechanism here to couple with the platter. Yeah, like it is slowing down, but not by yes, the amount that this is slowing down by is not enough to be perceptible and not enough that the torque doesn't pull back, that it doesn't pull back immediately. And so the excessive amount of push, my issue here is also that when I push, it has a really big effect. Because I think there's a little bit too little coupling now between the slip apparatus and the platter. You know, to make this like a regular turntable, I mean, you couldn't, right? Because there's no actual platter, right? There's nothing here. If I pull this up, right, there's just nothing down there. But if there were a surface, the main thing would be the vinyl you put on top here would need to have encoder marks around the rim, and then you turn this to shoot up. Right? You need a different kind of encoder, a reflective encoder, instead of this beam interrupting encoder. Although I don't. I don't know if that's how. Yeah, the touch here is too light. Just the braking, right? So the braking is slow now. Right, there's hardly any braking now. And then fast braking. It's interesting that there's a bounce. There's also this platter mechanism is really 33 RPM. There are mods that people have done to turn this back into a vinyl record player with a tone arm. Basically grafting a tone arm assembly from some other 1200 and then putting it over here and then replacing the slip mechanism with a solid plate, right? That's completely coupled to the platter, and then then you can put vinyl on here. You need to stack up to get over this freewheel nub, so they have to put something underneath it, like another vinyl, 10-inch vinyl, and then they put. And once you clear this, then you can put your 12-inch vinyl on, and the tone arm is as long as it's in kind of like the general right location is going to work, and it works fine. There's no flutter. This mechanism here is solid. So this here is a turntable mechanism. Okay. Guess I'm not going to do it tonight. I'll go out and get fabric tomorrow. What I want to do is I want to take some measurements because I'm going to want to cut this disc to the exact right size. And I want to do that. I want to do that with my laser cutter. So I need to take some measurements here. So I can, because supposedly a laser cutter is good at cutting felt. No, I don't need to. Otherwise it would fall in. Right, it's got to be. This has to be one continuous thing, right? These notches should not matter. So strip, let me get, because I'm streaming, I can just read them out and then I can go back and listen to what I said. Need to use a regular ruler for that. For the outer diameter, should be say 22 millimeters. And the inner diameter should be 15. No, 150 and 220. Right, so 150 to 220. No, it's not 2. O1. The OD is 202 millimeters. And the inner diameter is 155 to 202. So 50, so that's 43. I think that's right. Okay, so the OD is 202 millimeters, and the ID is 155. Okay. Okay, good. That's it. Get some felt. Be ready to play around. And that's it. Later.